Hey guys, what's up? Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Now, I know you guys have seen me cover a lot of people's games for the World Cup Pokemon, and I'm very closely following that tournament in general, but I haven't quite gotten to my own games yet, so I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm going to get one game up today, hopefully one game up tomorrow, and then one game the next day. If not, though, they'll be all within the next week, so definitely stay tuned for that. But I played 3 people in my group. It was a really strong group. Luigi, a Smogon Tour champion. Solon, one of the best players of all time. And Pihi, a very good DPP player, were my 3 opponents. And I knew I'd have my work cut out for me, but I definitely also knew I had a chance of winning against all 3. So I want to get into the games for sure and give you guys my thoughts. I'm also going to be posting on the forums about my teams in preparation. So I'll be sure to link those in the future, maybe refer to them in other videos as well. With that said, though, Luigi, again, was my first opponent, so just some backstory. He has had a lot of success on Smogon historically. He's won a Smogon Tour, which is honestly an amazing feat alone, but he's also won SPL with the Ruiners. He's played various generations like Black and White and Oras historically, and he's just a really strong opponent, so I definitely knew I'd have my hands full with this battle. I figured he'd use something a bit more offensive and less standard than he did, so I tried to make sure I had a pretty fast team relative to my norms. I brought Zero Aura plus Cinderace as one of the first teams kind of showcasing the quote-unquote double 30 core, if you will, that some people refer to it as, which is pretty cool. I always love sparking new ideas, but honestly, it wasn't anything super creative or innovative. It's just pairing 2 pretty common Pokemon together that are fast and have some synergetic qualities together offensively, as Volt Switch on the Zero Aura and U-Turn on the Cinderace kind of make a bit of a Volt Turn core. Just to go over my team as a whole, it's Heavy Duty Boots, Zero Aura with Plasma Fist, Close Combat, Knockoff, Volt Switch, Heavy Duty Boots, Nasty Plot, Toxic, Rotom Heat, Heavy Duty Boots. Yes, there's a lot of Heavy Duty Boots used in this team. Mandibuzz with just Foul Play, Roost, U-Turn, Defog. We got a Wish knockoff. No, it's actually Stealth Rock Wish. Stealth Rock Wish Clefable with some physical defense. Spike, Sleech, knockoff, Body Press on the Ferrothorn, and an Adamant Cinderace with Heavy Duty Boots, Pyro Ball, Gunk Shot, Zen Headbutt, U-Turn. Looking at his team, he has Urshifu, Magearna, Tangrowth, Mandibuzz, Dragapult, and Excadrill. It's a pretty interesting team. I like how these teams use Tangrowth to kind of pivot into Urshifu, and then once you know it is locked into, you could switch in and out of it. This was a little before people started using Bulk Up Urshifu more, which unfortunately for GB would devastate this team, but we just didn't come up with that technology quite yet, and I didn't get to take advantage of it here. It was definitely something I was considering for my later matches, but I ultimately didn't get to use it. But yeah, no, this was a really good team at the time, and I think Luigi was really smart for using this team for sure. And looking at the matchup, I'd say that my Cinderace could definitely do well, as his fire resist was Dragapult, but he's a very physically bulky version of the Mandibuzz. Plus, he has potential Sucker Punch under Shifu, and the ability to tank any one hit and get Sleep Off with Tangrowth plus Rocky Helmet, and Dragapult, which can live any one hit, potentially even any 2 hits if I don't go for a Zen Headbutt into it. So yeah, definitely my work cut out for me, as the combination of the electric types wasn't doing too well, as 3 things can potentially outrun and do a lot of damage to, if not kill, the Rotom Heat, and Dragapult, Excadrill, and the Urshifu, with Dragapult also resisting both stabs, and Zero Aura was stonewalled by the Tangrowth. So outside of Cinderace, I knew my matchup wasn't too great, but with Cinderace and potentially also getting Hazards up, I knew I could do a lot of work if I was able to minimize the progress of his Specs Magearna and his Urshifu. So right off the bat, I'm looking at the match, I'm like, okay, I definitely want to try and maximize the stuff I get out, the mileage I get out of Cinderace. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and lead with it, knowing that I can see what he's going to lead with. I hoped he'd lead with Magearna, but he led Tangrowth. I didn't want to let myself take Rocky Helmet or go to sleep because he just regen it off. So I go hard Ferrothorn with Sleep Powder, and I actually just click Knockoff to try and get that helmet off so I could click moves with Zero Aura and Cinderace a bit more freely. And now I predicted double to Urshifu, and I go for another knockoff, which worked wonders as his band was knocked off. Unfortunately, though, close combat's still killing me, so I just go Mandibuzz, knowing I live 2 close combat now, and he goes U-Turn. That lets the Magearna come in, and I'm like, oh no, it's going to be Specs. But I am a fast variant of the Mandibuzz because opposing Bisharp are problematic, and I want to outrun him with Foul Play. So I get a U-Turn off, and he goes Volt Switch just fine. And he reveals his T-Wave Dragapult as I go Clefable, and I'm like, oh damn, that ain't good. He goes Drill here, and unfortunately for me, he gets the full para as I click Stealth Rock, but that's fine. I just go Cinderace here, predicting Stealth Rock by him, because it is the only Stealth Rock on his team. And I'm like, okay, now I got powered, so I got to try and make some progress here. So I'm going to go ahead and go Powerball just to scout the damage, and this is a max physical into Mandibuzz, but I get a burn here, which is amazing, because now I can threaten it more and more, and I go U-Turn to 24. I'm like, yeah, okay. I get my Zero Orient to pose a major threat, and I think I could just go for Volt Switch here, right? Do I go Volt Switch or do I go Plasma Fist? I don't quite remember. He goes Tangrowth, and I Yeah, I do go Volt Switch, and yeah, that confirms he's got a physically defensive Tangrowth. I go back to Cinderace here, and I know I don't want to take a Sleep Powder, so I think I go U-turn. And he predicts that and goes Magearna. I wish I went Powerball in hindsight, but letting this take Sleep Powder just was never in the cards, so that's fine. I get the Rotom Heat in, and now I go for Toxic, and I hit the Dragapult, which I predicted to come in because he was never switching anything else in or keeping the Magearna in. And now he goes U-turn as I go Mandibuzz, and that lets the Magearna come back in. That was a good play by him. I was scared of Hex with the Paralyzed Clefable, so because of that, I knew that I wanted to potentially mid-ground a little bit. So what I did was I just went Mandibuzz, like, okay, I know not having rocks up means his switching is less punished, but I can still withstand hits from Magearna with everything I have, as healthy as I have between Rotom Heat and Ferrothorn. So that is helpful for me. So I just go for U-turn to this, knowing I'm quicker. Again, and I go Rotom Heat here, and he goes for the Flare Cannon, and he misses, which is very helpful for me. That coupled with the burn means I got pretty lucky thus far, despite not getting the rocks up. Anyway, I go for Overheat here into Dragapult. That's great. And now I just go Zero Aura here, predicting a U-turn, but also knowing, okay, I could live a non-Specs Draco. And I don't think he's going for Specs Draco with the Clef there. So, looked like pretty good mid-ground. And as I retain momentum, as he goes Magearna, I get a Volt Switch off. He goes Flare Cannon, and now he needs max damage, near max damage twice to get a kill. He does 42 there, which is not quite max damage. So now he needs like a 3 or 4 out of 16 roll to get the kill here, and I didn't think he'd go for it. So what I do is I just went for Leech Seed, figuring, okay, if he doesn't kill me, he doesn't get that roll, then I could Leech Seed and I could actually live a follow-up Flare Cannon potentially. Actually, I don't think so. Yeah, no, I don't think I would have done that. I think I would have just gotten Leech Seed off, and then I would have just switched out, because -4 isn't half, -2. -2 is half of +/-0. Yeah, so it would have left me at, say, 10 to 13% health, depending on rolls and Leech Seed, how much HP he had invested, because they sometimes run HP instead of speed, so that would determine how much I get back. And then I would have died to the next one, so I would have probably just switched out to something like the Cinderace or the Rotom Heat afterwards. So because of that position, I was like, okay, I really want the Ferrothorn alive, and I think I'm going to live, so maybe I'll switch out something. I didn't think he'd switch to Tangrowth. I thought he might go Urshifu, so just getting Leech Seed, would help me take, hits from Tangrowth or Volt Switches later on. And if he kills me, that's fine, because I can't get momentum with Cinderace, so not all hope is lost. So what happens here is he gets to roll with Flare Cannon. I'm like, okay, I got really lucky before, so this is like the least that could happen. It's not even completely even, honestly. But now I get the Cinderace in, and I missed the Pyro Ball, which is really unfortunate. So now I'm like, okay, I'm behind probably. I wish I preserved the Ferrothorn in hindsight, but I get a crit, so I'm like, oh, all's well, that's fine, it evens out anyway. Now he brings in the Dragapult. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go Zero Aura again as a mid-ground. He goes U-turn, and this is working fine for me. He goes Urshifu here, and I go Volt Switch thinking, okay, I can't come with one hit. No one runs the, the player off in this point in the metagame right now. And even if he's adamant Sucker Punch, it's not always killing, but July Sucker Punch definitely isn't. So I can just get the Volt Switch off here. Unfortunately, my Mandibuzz into a kill range, so I got to go Clef, I believe. Yeah, I go Clef on the... He just goes U-turn. It's like, oh, damn, I can actually live a couple hits later on then. It's 2. It's great. He goes Magearna. Like, okay, well, I just got to go Rotom Heat here. He goes Volt Switch, though, instead of Flare Cannon, which is good for him because he gets some momentum back with Urshifu here. So I'm like, okay, I got to get out of this Vortex, but I'm not sure how to. He goes Close Combat here. I'm like, well, that is how to. So hopefully I can get a Wish Up or a Softball up here. I don't remember what I went for, honestly. He goes U-turn, and I go for the... I go Softball to get all the way up. Okay, that's great. And now he goes Magearna, and I go Rocks, predicting that, because there's no way he was staying in when I have the Mandibuzz there. So that Rocks is really helpful, I guess, because it could help chip this, the Urshifu, potentially the Dragapult, and the Tangrowth to put it in Powerball range. And now I make a play that I kind of regret. I think in hindsight, I just wanted Rotom Heat. I should have went Rotom Heat because I could live a Flare Cannon. And I go Cinderace and let it take a lot of health. That puts it in range for Sucker Punch. Now, the thought process here was that, seeing as he has Thunder Wave on the Dragapult, I didn't think he'd have need for Sucker Punch priority because he already has ample speed control and Paralysis top that. Plus, he could be Stun Spore into Tangrowth. But in hindsight, I should have just said, okay, I would rather keep this healthy out of Sucker Punch range, and I want to scout for the Sucker Punch, but instead I didn't. I figured he'd try and predict the Clefable here, and I also figured that he'd probably be Iron Head or Poison Jab over Sucker Punch, just because not running one of those two isn't something that I considered. Again, I didn't think he'd be Sucker Punch with Thunder Wave. Just it was kind of like my thought process at the time, but in hindsight, this was just too big of a risk to take because I really wanted to Cinderace in this matchup, and I ended up letting it go to the Sucker Punch here, so that was a really good play by Luigi to call that, and by me, that probably ended up costing my position, but I knew I was able to live the Sucker Punch here from Jolly. And again, given the U-turn damage, I was pretty sure it was Jolly. So that was fine there. I got the close combat off, and I get the kill there. So it's a 4-4 game now, but the Zero Aura is really weakened. So I need to play well around the Tangrowth. I get the Volt Switch off there, and he gets a knock there. Now he goes to Drill, and I believe I go for the go for the Wish here, just trying to heal something up. And now I go Rotom Heat here, as I know he's not going to Earthquake. He Rapid Spins. I'm like, okay, great for me. I get all the way up to full, so I can check McGearn even more. And now I double the Mandibuzz, predicting the Earthquake, and he goes for that. That's great, okay. And now I need to call the play here, and I go for Foul Play, predicting him to stay in, but he flinches me, which is unfortunate. It wouldn't have killed him unless I got a crit, so I can't really complain. And now I'm unfortunately in the back foot here, so I roost up here. And I got to get the turn against the Magearna right. I think on this turn I U-turn, predicting Magearna. No, I roost again. Yeah, I needed to U-turn there to have a great chance of winning. So now I don't need to U-turn out and take a ton of damage with the Rotom Heat again, which is unfortunate. So here comes I U-turn Rotom Heat, and he gets to Flare Cannon off. And yeah, this 54, so I would have lived from 62 before, which probably was the play. Now he goes Dragapult here. I overeat just to weaken it down a little bit more. On hindsight, a double to clef might have been a little better, but that's fine. I predict the U-turn here, and he goes Drill here as I overheat. Again, I predicted him to go for that, predicting the Mandibuzz at overheat or Drill. And I figured he'd go Drill, trying to catch like a Volt Switch or something like that. And unfortunately, I missed the overheat, which sucks because it would have put him in Foul Play range. So if I hit the Foul Play before and this, it would have been dead. But again, I got lucky before. It's just been a really messy game, guys. So again, it pretty much cancels out. So yeah, that's a shitty miss, but now I am really back to the wall. I can't let the Magearna double in here. So what I do ultimately is I'm like, okay, if he Earthquakes and I stay, I lose. If he Earthquakes and I go Mandibuzz, and then I U-turn on the Magearna, then it looks pretty good because I get the Rotom Heat back in and pose a major threat because this is an overheat range. Rotom Heat's kind of like this soft win condition right now. It gets revenge kills, but it gets a kill every time it gets in safely. If he Earthquakes the Mandibuzz, it's another 50-50. Does he, stay in an Iron Head as I Foul Play? Or do I potentially U-turn predicting Magearna? And if I get that wrong, I can lose anyway, despite getting the first one right. But if he goes Magearna here, or if he stays in here and doesn't go for Earthquake, and I stay in, I can do a lot of work. So what I do here is I overheat on this turn, predicting him to either go for Iron Head or double switch to the Magearna, but he calls me and gets through to Earthquake. And again, in hindsight, I would have liked to go Mandibuzz, but I was scared of him doubling to the Magearna, so can't really do a ton. But yeah, at this point, it's pretty much over. He goes Tangrowth. I'm like, yeah, it's a wrap. It's been a pretty messy game, but he played well, and he got me in a couple turns. I didn't expect him to be Sucker Punch with Thunder Wave, and that was just kind of like something I probably looked a bit too deep into, and I really should have just said, okay, I'll respect all possibilities. I defog there. I actually meant to Roost there, because if I was able to Roost, then I could have lived a -2 Flare Cannon from a higher health, which might come into play later on, but it was a losing game anyway. Defog obviously wasn't to play, though, because it's boots on the... Boots on both the Mandibuzz and the Zero Aura, and this is Magic Guard. But yeah, I meant the Roost. It just didn't really matter at this point because, again, I just U-turn here, and he's going to probably get a kill here if he's Flash Cannon. He's Flare Cannon. It does 85, okay. And now at this range, I can't live a -2 Flare Cannon, but it doesn't really matter. Again, I was just losing the game anyway. He's only at 2 Flare Cannon left, so like maybe I could try and Roost off and try and bait that, but if he's Flash Cannon, I'm losing the game anyway. He goes Dragapult. It's fine with me. I can just go for U-turn here, so he goes Draco, or do I go Roost? I don't remember. I U-turn here. Like, okay, maybe I could crit the Magearna with the Plasma Fist or something like that. But he goes Tangrowth, which is a smart play, trying to fish for a poison against the Mandibuzz. It's like, okay, maybe I could eventually chip down to Tangrowth and then try and dodge a Flare Cannon or something like that. But I Roost here. Foul play, and now he goes Magearna after getting the poison. That's smart. So I Roost, I'm like, okay, maybe give me a dodge that goes Zero Aura. That gives me a chance to win with some crits. But nah, he goes Flash Cannon. It's a smart play. And that'll be that. It's a good game. Well played, Luigi. Definitely got the better end of me here. I made some really good plays, but also some short-sighted plays, or maybe just looked a little too much into some things. So that's all right. It was a rough day for sure, but I felt 0-1 with this loss. Congratulations to Luigi. Well played and good game.